Before I loved making videos, I loved writing. I loved writing scripts, short stories. And when YouTube came out, it was sort of like this platform where, because I was just uploading scripts to journal websites and kind of I would upload to writing sites and whatnot, creepypasta. Those are sites that cater to short stories that are written. But then YouTube came out and it's a site that caters to videos. I said, oh, we need to start doing this. But I mean, I've been making videos since before it was even a cool or fun thing to do. I mean, back when it was on tape, and that was very laborious trying to, kids today, they say, how do I make videos? You have more technology in your pocket than I had in my whole beat up car when I was trying to be a filmmaker. It's so easy to make videos now, and I wish I had this technology when I was starting out. Do you remember that movie Little Miss Sunshine? Okay, so they had this marketing thing that they were doing where they said, make a video about your dysfunctional family and upload it to our, this is before YouTube was out, but they said upload it to our website and we'll pick whichever was the funniest video and we'll whatever, give you a prize of some sort. I said, I want to do this better than anyone else can. So I made a video where it was my dog and me were a dysfunctional family, and I would have someone puppeting the dog like this from under the table. And so the dog's going like this, and I'm trying to have dinner with my dog, and just being a little asshole and knocking the cup over. I'm like, stop doing that. That was my first video, and it got second place. And I remember I was 17 years old when I did that, and I remember thinking, second place, 17 years old, like, I might like doing this. I didn't realize I was decent at it. I didn't think I was good, and I certainly was not good, but I knew I wasn't horrible. And I was like, okay, let me try doing this for not even for a living, just let me just do more of these videos, see where it goes. I think the moment my father always filmed me when I was a kid, parents that were doing the home videos, and I just remember, like, I wanted to be the one making the videos. I wanted to be the one calling the shots and holding the camera. My dad never let me touch the camera. And I think when I was in high school, I kind of have always sort of in the back of my mind wanted to be a filmmaker. And when cameras became affordable for consumers, it was possible. When I was in high school, I started a club at lunch. We would meet every Friday, and we would spend all week shooting a video. And back then, there was no editing software that we could afford, at least. So we would edit it in the tape. So we would record it. If we screwed up a take, we'd have to go back, start again, and we would do that. And that's how. And we would screen them every Friday at lunch at this club. And this was like the original YouTube. We didn't have YouTube. We'd just play it at lunch every Friday. So yeah, I fell in love with it very, very early, and yeah, and I still am. It's like I'm married to the damn thing, I feel like that every day. I feel every day when I wake up, the first thought that goes through my head is, how the fuck am I going to do this? That's the first thing that goes through my head. How am I going to do this? Because every video is different. Every video provides a different set of obstacles. So it's not like, okay, I got the drill of, it's like every video, it's like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do this. And I have a great crew. My cameraman, my production assistants, they always tell me, it'll be okay, Brandon, it'll be okay. And I always tell them, it might not be. This might be trash we're making. and sometimes it is. I mean, we've had shoot days where I don't even upload what we shot. I mean, so much money and time on just shoots that even now, I'm doing it for 15 years now, and even today, I still shoot stuff. I go home, I throw it in the edit, and I go, this isn't good enough. We need to shoot something else. And it's humiliating on a personal level, because I'm like, after all this time, and it's still terrible. But on the other hand, I've met a lot of, or seen a lot of really established actors, comedians, talents who suffer the same thing. I met Sarah Silverman recently, and she was doing her Netflix show, and she kept screwing up the simplest line. And I remember thinking, what a relief someone as professional as her also has bad days too. So I don't think there's anything wrong with having a bad day or feeling a little burnt out. I think it's scary if you feel totally burnt out, like forever burnt out. But some days I'm burnt out for these next few hours. And then you have a drink, smoke a joint, whatever, you're fine. Get back on your feet. What drove me before was the ability to make videos. That's a fun thing by itself. But what drives me now is not just the ability to make the videos, but now I have an audience. And I remember before I had an audience thinking, the people who do have an audience kind of have an obligation to make good content. Because there are some of us out there who work really hard for what we want to do and no one's watching it. If you have 1 million, 5 million, 10 million people watching you, make content like there is. Make content like there are a lot of people watching you, because there is kind of an unspoken obligation to quality when you have a large audience. And I think that that's now a new motivation that I have that I didn't have before. Sometimes if I'm having a bad day, someone will stop me on the street and say that they enjoy my videos or what a difference they've made. Instantly, the bad day is gone. I hope my jingles and jangles aren't fucking up your sound. I wore them for this interview. But there is an obligation, or not an obligation, there are constraints when introduced to a larger audience. It's a wonderful thing to have a great audience, but there's also new challenges. Like, you can't joke about anything you want, because now the whole world is watching you. You have to make sure that your jokes, if you're gonna make a smart joke, make sure you do your research. So, because then the demographic of people that the joke is or referring to, they're gonna say that's not accurate. And so, whereas before, I lived in a small town, only those people would watch my video. I could joke about things that weren't true or what, and no one was there to correct me. Now, there's a level of quality control because the whole world is watching you. And there's a level of get up off your ass and start making content now, because it's like, this is your full-time job. What else are you doing? Before I had this excuse, I have work, I have school. This is my full-time gig. If I get lazy, 5 million people know it. If I feel lazy in 1 week, then there's a small country is aware of this. Yeah, but it's a good, these are what I like to call champagne problems. Because they're all just, it's like, are these really a problem? Like, I have to work extra because I have a big audience. But I've eaten a lot of shit in my life to feel like I can have these problems now. I've worked so many terrible jobs, with the idea that I would never become anything. It's one thing to work a shitty job knowing that, like, I'm gonna be a doctor in a few years, right? Then you could work the shitty jobs. I thought that was just my future. And so I was ready for the long haul with what I was doing. Which was working at a law firm. Oh, and you know what I did for these people? I would have to do documentaries, and this is kind of where my videos formed from. I would shoot documentaries of people who've been injured. Like, let's say you broke your leg and now you can never pick up your kid again. So I'd have to shoot a documentary of what that's like for you, and with the interviews, and make them cry, and then we'd show that to the court, and they would say if they deserve a compensation for their injury. That was my job, was to make sad documentaries. So I figured, what if there's a happy version of this where I do documentaries about weird people, funny documentaries. So that's why a lot of my work is shot kind of like interview style, mockumentary style. It's sort of a satire of the grim work I was doing before this. I've learned that there's two different types of offensive. There's the everyday person's offensive, which is like racism, homophobia, sexism, and then there's the offensive to brands and corporations. And that's my offensive, is vulgarity. I think, compared to most comedians, my channel, my content does not hinge on being offensive to the everyday viewer. That's my audience. I think if people can take a joke, if someone can take a joke, then that's the line that you can go to with them. I think that, with me, I've never felt an alliance to one particular demographic. No one knows what ethnicity I am, what sexuality I am, what my religion, and I've always been kind of treated like this ambiguous thing. And so I guess I sort of have, I know what it's like to feel like a minority from many different groups of people. And I know what it feels like when you feel like you're being hated on. And so I never want anyone to feel that way. I used to be 275 pounds, I was obese. So I know what it feels like when someone makes a tasteful fat joke versus an offensive fat joke. But I think when it comes to offensiveness, my videos are really what they're referring to is just how disgusting, or just how, we can all agree, no matter where you live on this planet, that vomit and feces is not the best thing in the world, and can often be funny. I think that's a pretty universal thing. You see someone's pants explode with shit. It's not like anyone's gonna be like, that, I would never. But companies hate it. It's offensive to companies. because they don't want to put their brands next to it. And therefore it's offensive to YouTube because YouTube wants to work with companies, and rightfully so, it's a business. So what I like to do every other video, one's extra vulgar, one's okay, one's extra vulgar, one, so the audience is happy and YouTube is happy, because if I make it too tame, the audience doesn't like it. And so, kind of, although some brands, if a brand is asking to get in bed with me, right? They already know what they're getting into. So brands are smart. They'll sometimes want me to pump up that vulgarity element. You know, I'm sort of starting to build an image for myself with sort of the tastelessness of YouTube. But then on the same time, some brands are like, you know, we want to pay you X amount, or we want to do this for you, but you cannot, you know. And if you feel like it doesn't compromise the quality of your work, I say go for it. You know, I will tone myself down if I feel like the quality of what I'm trying to create is still alive and well within the project. But most brands are really great to work with. Most of them are just really understanding of what I make. Disney is not a brand I work with, you know. Jack Daniels.
No PG.
Right. No PG, yeah. DreamWorks, nope.
Pixar,
no. Pixar's not asked to work with me. I don't know if they will anytime soon, but actually no, Disney has, well, Disney, I've been in their studios a couple times for voice auditions. So they like me as an actor, which I'm very thankful for, but they'll never put their name on a video of mine for a brand deal, I don't think. But yeah, brand deals, brand deals are of a science that didn't exist really more than 10 years ago in the way that they exist now. It's a very, very new type of science of learning how to make money from just posting about, you know. So it's insane. Yeah, half of the stuff I own was because someone gave it to me to post this bracelets. This is from brand deals. It's just such a weird. It still feels unnatural, like an unnatural way of making money. Just I take a picture with this and talk about it. I think if anyone's noticed this shift of appropriate behavior that's being enforced, well, I think I probably noticed it more than most people on YouTube.
Yeah, doing that from a time when it didn't exist.
Yeah, it's been, you know, YouTube. I will say YouTube has been. They have been very strict lately with the type of content that we're allowed to put out. That being said, YouTube has been very kind with me. They've been very generous with allowing me to voice my imagination. I've never felt constrained by YouTube, even because every time YouTube cracks down on restrictions, you have to look at. It's easy to get mad at YouTube, but then you have to look at the bigger. Well, why are they cracking down? You know, the people that are paying them are also cracking down on them. So it's like it's hard because it's very frustrating when something I've worked on is not, you know, I'm told that, oh, you're not allowed to make money with that. But then it's like the frustration doesn't have anywhere to really go to because I don't know who to blame. I guess if anything, it's the companies, like the brands, you know. It's I think a lot of them are ran by people who might not understand contemporary, not just crude humor, but you know, just anything that might be deemed offensive. And now there's the whole COPA, you know. Luckily, I don't fall under that, though. That's content that looks like kids' content deceivingly, and mine's definitely not. So I think comedy is definitely my genre, but that's I think specifically within comedy, I think dark comedy is my genre. I enjoy dark comedy because I feel like it's something that isn't done as much anymore. There's a lot of dark comedy back in the and I think that dark comedy, if it's done well, can be a beautiful, beautiful thing. I'm not saying that my work is done well or beautiful, but I'm very much inspired by dark comedy that is. I think that there's enough comedy out there. There's enough comedians out there. I want to be the one comedian who is doing something that other comedians don't even want to do. You know, something that's just, you know, I try and think like, what's the most horrifying route that this scene can go? What's the most, you know, right, what's the most extreme way to do this? You know, you could write a script and then we just try and think, how do we elevate this? Oh, you know, make her pregnant and she's about to go into labor, like heighten the stakes, like get them, yeah. So Anyways, there aren't a lot of people doing what there aren't a lot of people doing exactly what my channel has on YouTube, and so as long as that's the case, I try to, and if there is someone who gets kind of similar to me, I try and think of ways to keep myself as distinct as possible. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, I love watching Corridor Digital. Corridor Digital, oh my God, they do visual effects and they're the best in the business. Anthony Padilla, I don't know if you remember Smosh, he was in Smosh. He is one of my best friends, and aside from the fact that I know him, he's a very talented guy, and we've worked with each other on a handful of projects, and he's so great to work with. Who else? Colleen Bollinger, who plays Miranda Sings. Really look up to her. She's a thespian, a comedian, a singer. She's a quadruple threat. Yeah. It's cool. YouTube has introduced me to a lot of talented other YouTubers, a lot of talented people. Some of these people I used to watch, years ago, and now they're like in my living room, and I'm like you were just on my TV, a decade ago. So yeah. I've met a lot of people I really adore and have become good friends with. Yeah.